And it's Ryan Gibson who takes the checkered flag, his 6th of the season, and he becomes the inaugural Earl Ross Cup champion in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. You see the celebrations already begun in the grandstands, and coming through the Peraltada for the final time, your champion of the Formula One Series in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network is the Hurricanes E-Motorsports Honda of Corbin McCauley. Darcy Ford in the lead here, coming through turn 4. Peden trying to go inside. He may have him on the apron. Darcy Ford, he's going to get it. Darcy Ford is your champion. Darcy Ford clinches the Earl Ross Cup.
And into the final corner comes Daniel Cudmore. He wins Season 2 of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network Formula One Series.
Darcy Ford, and he is the overall F1 All-Star Racing Series champion. He's got the Greg Moore Cup in his sights. And he's got his 7th win of the year. AJ Knickle claims the Grand Prix of Monterey, and with it, the inaugural Greg Moore Cup in the Rampage Coffee Company IndyCar Series.
All right, folks, the land of the rising sun is where the sun's going to set on the third season of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network Formula One Series. And it happens with the Japanese Grand Prix live from the Suzuka International Racecourse in Suzuka City, Japan. And as you can see, we've both got cameras this week. As you know, Jordan Carraher, Regan McCauley, you can actually see our faces this week as opposed to our little debacle from last week, shall we say. And Reeg, speaking of seeing things, I think we're going to see one heck of a finish to our championship here tonight.
Well, yes, for sure. At the Suzuka Circuit in Japan, of all places, we're just continuing to stick at classic circuits across this 2022 F1 Series schedule. Of course, 5.8 kilometers in length, 18 corners. For once, we have corners on a circuit with names that are actually understandable. And also, yeah, with the points as well, Darcy Ford leading the way, but only by a mere 9 points over Corbin McCauley, who's been on such a hot streak as of recently with 3 wins in the past 3 Grand Prix, including a couple pole and win victories as well, too. Now, of course, McCauley is kind of, quote-unquote, under the influence tonight, unfortunately, dealing, he's not in the healthiest shape, if that's the proper way to put it, but he's still putting in the effort tonight to get the job done because
I think under the weather might be a little bit better there. We'll have to have that talk after the fact, but I mean, certainly nothing weathering his performance last week in Brazil, as you mentioned, picking up his 3rd straight victory here with Darcy Ford, doing his best to sort of go through damage limitation there to finish in 2nd within the race itself, with Colby Luca picking up the other position on the podium. And again, you alluded to it already, that gap has shrunk in the driver's standings. Now it's a mere 9 points separating Darcy Ford and Corbin McCauley, and we'll get into the kind of permutations surrounding the clinching scenarios here tonight in just a moment, but of course we'll address our constructors standings here first as well, with Atlantic Motorsport taking a 27-point lead over 2nd place Alpha Flow headed into tonight's season finale here. And as mentioned, 9 points being the difference between Darcy Ford and Corbin McCauley for the Villeneuve Trophy. Time here, and again, as you mentioned, 5.8 kilometers, so we're looking at a 27 lap race here tonight. And again, lots of kind of sweeping configurations here as we take a look at the Suzuka circuit. And while we do that, again, there's the official breakdown of it, and you'll see just the one DRS zone actually on the start finish straight. as I thought there might have been one out of the spoon curve into 130R, but that is not the case. So just the start finish straight, which obviously that'll limit the overtaking opportunities a little bit as we make our way down that aforementioned straight into the rather appropriately named first turn, which is really kind of a double right-hander. You kind of see the sweeping nature of it. Now you get into one of the more technical components of any track in the Formula One calendar, that being this continuingly lengthening series of S's. And now to climb up the hill through Dunlop. And that small right here, or no, this is Denier curve here, I think, or yeah, Degner, not sure how that's pronounced, but I can tell you this is pronounced hairpin, which again, thankfully is easy enough to remember from our side of things. And now you get to take a little bit of a climb up the hill and into another one of the more recognizable tracks here, or corners here at Suzuka, that being the spoon curve. Again, a long left-hander that you really need discipline for before absolutely hammering it down on this straight. And again, it kind of winds into barely a turn here now, the 130R. You basically are just flying through, and then it's a short approach into this final chicane known as the Casio Triangle. And then it's a very short run out of that turn toward the start-finish straight. As you see, our gameplay is sort of playing tricks on us here once again. As we sort this out, we'll flip over. If he is, then that's very serendipitous on his part. Very generous for him to show us the timing board. As again, we are just over 3 minutes remaining here in Q1 as we're watching Colby Luca here now. He's finishing up another hot lap. And is he able to improve on his time there? It does not look like it. But now it's saying he's in pit lane, not 100% sure. Maybe there was another game glitch there. It certainly wouldn't be the first time. And Lucas certainly confirming his assessment there within our Facebook chat. I will not repeat what was said, but certainly not how he envisioned that one going, to say the very least.
I will say right now, I don't know how influence came out instead of weather, so I will apologize for that, obviously. Uh, but yes, I mean, again, so far so good in Q1. Macaulay leading the way. Colby Luca again continuing to show off his qualifying pace that we've definitely seen over the past couple Grand Prix here. I mean, the past three that I can look at right here, he qualified second in Brazil, third in Italy. Belgium saw him second again. Like, it's been all over the place, whether it's second, third. It's always somewhere on the podium. But pole-wise, by the looks of it, if I check here, yeah, he's only gotten one pole, but he still has like the second most best average qualifying position. So again, keep an eye out on him as well to possibly be able to get the victory. Although at the same time, too, his race finishes have been inconsistent. So it's just been kind of an up and down season for him, obviously, whether he'll finish good or somehow end up DNFing somehow. But I believe he's like a point behind Daniel Cudmore. So it's not just a fight for first place tonight. It's also a fight for third between Daniel Cudmore, the defending champion, and Colby Luca, newcomer.
Okay, we're 12th for the speed trap, 184.5 miles per hour.
I mean, We probably need absolute catastrophes to happen later on in qualifying or even during the race. But again, though, yeah, they're still not out of it. They could still definitely gain some very valuable points too. And again, at the same time, though, even if they're not going to fight for those top two spots, might as well see in terms of the standings podium, quote unquote, put down a quote unquote, who's going to get the job done there, basically, on the end of it.
Yeah, indeed so, as we attempt to... Oops, I think I may have been muted there for a little bit as we bring it back live here now. Looks like we've just hit triple zeros on our Q1 session. And yeah, it looks like Corbin McCauley's held on here with, again, about 0.2 of a second separating himself and Colby Luca at the top of the board. Michael Dimitrov hanging in there in third, 1:32.220 his time. Andy Hurdle fourth, Darcy Ford rounding out the top 5. As again, with just the 14 drivers here tonight, this is effectively a free practice session as no one will get eliminated. And yeah, we'll be heading to Q2 here shortly, where we will lose our bottom 5. And yeah, we'll just see how things progress from there, as again, we'll have our final pole shootout of the year immediately following. But there again, you get a decent look at the times that have been posted so far. And again, a few drivers not posting times, as a matter of fact, in the early sessions. But again, Q2 is ultimately where the rubber will meet the road, so to speak. As again, it's Corbin McCauley, fastest overall in Q1. With, as mentioned, Colby Luca, I think perhaps flying an Argentinian flag there. I don't know if he's been flying that all year, but certainly relevant given the global sporting context over the last couple of days. Maybe a sentimental edition for this evening, as it looks like we're just about ready to go for Q2. Just to see if we can actually get in here, because as you'll probably have identified once again, oh, it sounds like, are we potentially getting weather here? Yeah, half an hour away we're hearing, so I'm not sure if that's going to necessarily affect these sessions. Now, if the race follows a similar timeline, then things could get very interesting, of course, but that all remains to be seen, as it looks like we've got a few drivers making their way out early on. And yeah, as if there wasn't enough stakes around tonight's race. Yeah, why not add a little rain tonight, right?
Oh yeah, I don't think anyone wants to have an exact repeat of what we saw in the real-life Japanese Grand Prix.
Indeed not. But I mean, rain always makes things super interesting as well. But again, with the stakes being what they are, I'm sure a bit of a drier condition would have been preferred. And you saw there on the track map, it looked like just about everybody was out on track.
Okay, that's all the checks complete. We're ready to go.
Yeah, as again, we'll try and get things sorted out from my end, and which is weird because all my connection data looked good beforehand. Just we're never quite able to figure out that particular gremlin over the course of the year. As again, it looks like McCauley is making his way out for an outlap. Matter of fact, we are watching his stream right now as we try to bring it back here on this side to the quote-unquote more official broadcast platform. Yeah, just a quick navigation through the S's here. And again, this is all just conjecture and